Hello, today we're looking at the Montech HS01 PRO. This is the white version. It also comes in black, and the non-Pro versions come without the fans. This is an ATX sized case. It is dual chambered and features a sunken design where the motherboard will go inside, and with the standoffs it will be flush with the interior of the case. There's a spacer inside meant for micro ATX motherboards so it doesn't look empty, so it makes it look fuller once it's in there. And the power supply is also right here, sunken from the back side, which was what makes it a dual chambered case. These three fans are reverse blades, so they'll be pushing air upwards, and these two are exhaust. And now let's take a look at the inside. For the top, you can take it off by pulling on this little tab here. It's magnetic and also held in place by some pins here. Once you take it off, you can access the spot for three 120 fans and up to a 360 millimeter radiator. You can also access this spot here, which lets you turn on and off your power supply with the switch, since it will be installed in this spot. And you can also see some of your cables, but there's not really much point to these holes besides messing with your cables once it's installed. For the front of the case, we have our I/O here at the bottom. We have two USB 3 ports here, USB-C port, split audio and mic, power button with the power LED inside, and a reset switch. Take off the front panel, you just pull upwards, and here you can see the railing for three 120s or two 140 fans. There's also a spot here to move over the railing to the middle to line it up with the center of the front, but it will likely cause some airflow problems with the power supply cage, but it shouldn't really matter that much as we have fans in the bottom. Montech says you can put a radiator up in the front, but it might be difficult, especially with the cage here, so it's probably better to just put it at the top anyways. Moving on to the side panel, to take off the glass, you just pull upwards again, and here you can clearly see inside the motherboard tray. We have this little spacer for micro ATX motherboards. It makes it look more full, so you don't have that awkward gap like in most full ATX cases with the micro ATX motherboard. So this is nice. You can take it out with these two screws in the back of the case, and then you can just pull upwards and it'll come right out. Here you can access the fans more. You can put a radiator down here if you want to flip the case upside down, which you can't do. I'll show that later. You can also see the fans here. You can't access the screws here. That'll be in from the back. And you can access the PCIe screws here through these nice holes, which will let you pass your screwdriver through for easier management with that. There's two spots up here for cable management if you want, but there's also two spots down here in the inside if you'd rather go that way. It does support back connect motherboards with these gaps here. There's another spot here if your power supply has something you need to connect to from the side, which is very rare, but some power supplies do have that functionality. Taking this out reveals two spots down here, which let you access your bottom connectors for a full-sized ATX motherboard. And other than that, here's your I/O. Moving on to the back of the case, here's the two fans. They're in a cage. You can take this out by undoing these two screws, and the fans will entirely come out connected to it. It'll pass through here with the cables for easy cable management straight to the back of the case. Here's your power connector. This extends from your power supply. I'll show it when I get to the back, but it will connect to your power supply all the way over here. Here's your I/O again and your PCIe slots. Here you can take out these screws and flip it 90 degrees if you want to vertically mount your GPU, so it does support that. It just doesn't come with a riser cable. For the other side panel, we have this mesh for the power supply to filter. You can pop it out and you can see this other power supply filter. This covers up an area for cable management. It supports hard drives and solid state drives here on the back, but here are the screws, and there's also this cable management area as well. Unscrewing it with just this one screw will reveal the RGB and fan hub. This comes right out. And we can see here there's spots for 6 devices. 3 of them are plugged in for RGB, and there's 2 PWMs already in. It's powered by SATA, and your reset switch is already connected for your RGB control. Take off the power supply cover to undo this one screw here, and also pull down on this little indent and it'll come right out. So you can see here's our power cable for your power supply. It's 90 degrees. The best way to go about plugging it in is by routing it up here, so it will plug into your power supply, and you can just tuck this in over here in this area. Here's your bag for your screws, cable ties, and there's your GPU support bracket. It screws in the front, and there's also little plastic replacements for these holders. Here you can see there's one of your RGB cables from the front, and a few more coming in from the bottom around here in the back, all going around. Now on the bottom, you have your magnetic dust filter. This pops right off. Let's access the screws for your 3 120mm fans, though this spot only supports up to a 240mm radiator because there's not enough space on the sides. And here are the feet. You can actually unscrew these if you want to flip the PC case upside down. They're held in by 2 plastic tabs and 2 screws. There's also magnets attached inside the feet so the screws don't come out. And you can swap the front panel, the top panel and the magnetic filter with the top and bottom, and that'll let you flip it completely upside down once you remove the feet and put it on the other side. For RGB, there's an RGB strip down here and another strip down here. All these fans are RGB, connected to the hub with the reset switch. Montech gives you a lot of RGB effects. I'll show them here. There's quite a lot and they look pretty nice. Now I'm gonna do a full build inside this case, and then I'll get back to you with how it goes. Alright, now I'm done with the build. Here I added my fans of my own as well as a little RGB strip, but overall looks really nice. I really like this LED bar down here, as well as the ability to put 3 fans up front as a dual chambered case, not a fish tank style case entirely. Cable management was pretty easy on the inside, but a little bit of complaints I have is that for power extensions I used, they have to bend around quite a lot to fit, especially the motherboard one. You have to put it through and then put the motherboard on because there's not a lot of space in between there, so it's kind of scratching a little bit. The GPU power, there's not really a good spot to put it. It's not a good spot to route that cable through. What I did is I routed it through a hole that goes through the bottom of the case and then wrapped it around through the back. The CPU power as well, you have to bend it kind of a lot. And another weird thing is that I kind of redid the entire RGB to work with these Nolly 8 RGB controllers, but it worked out pretty nicely because you can separate them. They're all regular 3-pin connectors, no proprietary daisy chaining, so that was really nice. But yeah, there's a ton of room. You can totally just remove that back power supply cover and only use the back plate because you should have enough filtering from the back anyways. So you can do that if you need more space, especially if you're using some thicker cables and cable extensions, because that can get to be pretty messy. But yeah, the RGB on this looks great. I'll show some more RGB effects. It's really nice, really bright. And a little thing about this bar is that it's not 2 separate pieces, it's one long bar. So I'll show it here. With something like Signal RGB, you can configure it to go all the way through with just one pattern. But yeah, temperatures have been good, especially GPU temperatures, thanks to these 3 direct access to air. And I mean, it's a little overkill with the fans I have here, but you can just turn down the fan curve and it sounds pretty quiet. But yeah, it's a pretty nice case. I love that it's dual chambered, so cable management was really easy, even though I used a lot of extra components. But yeah, thanks to Montech for sending this out.